It's going to be kind of crazy to get everything we need to get in tonight, but we're going to try and be quick. I'm going to talk for probably 5-10 minutes, and then Victoria Lafont will come on and give us a nice nutrition talk, get us fired up about that part of the program. My name's Joey Bratton. You can let everyone know your name.
John Henderson and Steve Conrad.
So again, welcome. Basically what this program looks like, it's 6 weeks. What we want is we definitely want you to look over the manual, maybe read it once or twice so you get really familiar with it. And you're going to be, anyone new here, from a logistics standpoint, what you're going to want to do is make sure you register so that you can sign up for classes. If I'm going to have no idea whether there's partners of yours, if they've signed up or not. The only way I do know is if they register online, get set up, or email me, call me, let me know that they haven't done that yet. That's, again, all of our classes here are appointment-based, so you'll log into your online schedule and you'll mix and match the different classes you want to come to. If you aren't getting emails, that's another thing. I have no way of knowing. I put you in the list, so make sure to check your junk mail. It might go in there. Or again, there's been miscommunication and we don't have you in the list. So if you have a partner of yours who's not getting them, just make sure to let us know ASAP and we'll get you set up and on the list. The manual has the important dates on it, so just go ahead and look at those. The first 7 steps of the program just kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at. We want you to come and be a part of as much as you can during this program. That means scheduling your classes. We're looking at least 3 a week would be good to start out, but always listen to your body. Don't think you have to come 5 days a week. You can if you want. We don't know what your exercise background is. And then there's also a section that goes over doing cardiovascular conditioning outside of here. It really lays it out in step-by-step form. If you have any questions, always use any one of us as a resource. We're happy to help, whether that's in a group class, whether you're emailing us or giving us a call. And what we really want you to do is like us on Facebook. That way you can stay tuned with our weekly schedule, what's coming up, and any thing that we have to share on that. One thing I do want to mention is there were some samples of Shakeology over there. Life does get busy, and if you are looking for weight loss, it can be a tool to help you, but you have to learn how to use that tool like anything else. The only way it's going to help and work for you is if you kind of understand how to utilize it, but it can be used if you're in a hurry. It can be used as a recovery drink afterwards. I think we all are on supplements, and not that we think supplements are a miracle or they're going to be a quick fix to anything, but they can act as a supplement. A lot of times we don't get enough nutrients, maybe it's protein, omega-3s from our diet, and so we need to supplement a little bit there. As far as individuals that signed up for the program, it's going to take a little while to work that out. I know some individuals that were individuals have already kind of partnered up with people, so we're not going to know the official pairings until probably midweek or the end of the week. We'll reach you by phone or email when we have that all set up. And Victoria will go over the meal plan a little bit, but just so you know, the shopping list, it doesn't match exactly what's in the menu. So when you're preparing your weekly meals, you want to take a look at what recipes look good, and always, make sure you might create a little shopping list on the side each week. You can mix and match the different recipes. If you love a couple of them, you can use those the whole time. If there's something on there you're allergic to, you definitely just don't follow the guideline exactly. We can't tailor it to every individual. Some of you guys might be vegetarians, so do what you do to make sure you get complete proteins in your diet. So again, welcome. And it's going to take a minute to transition to get Victoria up here, and we can switch the mic. But Victoria Lafont and I have worked together. She lives here, and she's an awesome expert at nutrition. And so if you ever need any, digging into that a little bit more deep, we definitely believe nutrition is probably a lot bigger part of the equation when it comes to body composition. So again, if it's weight loss, you're gonna get way more out of this program by spending some time thinking about your nutrition. Fitness is for staying functional, being strong, having energy, keeping your bones healthy, but it's a separate thing. It rolls over a little bit into helping with weight loss and body composition, but nutrition is definitely going to be the key to losing weight. And for this program, we want to definitely lose at least 1,000 pounds as a group. So that's what we're going to be aiming for. When we do our midway in, we will let you guys know what that is, keep you guys fired up, and then the last 3 weeks, we'll get that final weigh-in. One thing I do want to let you know before we switch officially is this 6-week period it's extreme. It's something that might not look anything like your regular routine. And so just let it be that. Go after it. It's going to feel good. The first couple weeks you may be sore. It's going to be challenging, but really focus on finishing out the 6 weeks and doing the best you can. Remember what your everyday life's like now. After the 6 weeks is over, we're going to ask you to go exactly back to that person and maybe pick one thing you want to continue doing from that you really got out of this program and take one small step. In our seminars, we're going to go over that in more detail, and we're also going to email you the video footage after each seminar. So if you can't make the next two, don't worry about that. You'll get all that information.
Hi, congratulations. This is awesome. There's 128 of you.
Yeah, something like that.
Good job. Let's give Joey a hand in FitCulture. So the question I want to ask you is, why are you here? Why have you decided to be here? I talked to a friend today who's in this, and she said, oh, I ate a little much over the holidays. That's a great answer. And for some of you, it might be in that realm of you just want to shed a few pounds, but for some of you, it might be a little bit deeper than that. So I thought to start this, I would share my story of why I'm here. I was born sick. So right out of diapers, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I've spent my whole life trying to figure out how to get out of that. And still have some symptoms of that, but the reason I am a nutritionist is because of that. And that's why I'm here to talk to you about food. Food healed me, period. That's all there is to it. I'm a Pilates teacher, that's helped. Yes, I work out, yes, I get good cardio in, but if I didn't eat the right nutrients, I wouldn't be well. And if any of you have built anything, like if you've ever taken a shop class or done ceramics, if you're not using the right ingredients to build a house or to make a bowl or to build a birdhouse or whatever you're making, it's not going to turn out great. We all get that in that world outside of us, but for the world inside of us, we've been told this totally different story, right? Like that's the deal with most doctors or Western medicine. It doesn't really matter too much about the food, or it's not addressed that much, but it matters a lot. So ask yourself, why are you here? What do you want to accomplish? Yes, you want to lose weight, but what else? What stirs your heart? Why are you sitting in this chair right now? It's a good question to ask yourself. So how are you going to be successful with that goal? Whatever it is. Maybe you do want to heal from an autoimmune disease. Ladies, we are 75, 80% more apt to get an autoimmune disease than the men in the room. That's a huge percentage. Maybe you want to look vibrant and beautiful, and it's not so much about the weight, but it's about getting thicker hair and thicker nails and feeling that vitality for life again. That's really important. So how are you going to do that? You have to make the right choices to make the right choices. So if you don't know what I mean, here's what I mean. For you to not crave, to not want sugar, to not want gluten, to not want dairy, to not want all the things that maybe you think might be putting on the extra pounds, you have to give your body a satiating nutrient so that you don't crave that. And can anybody guess what that is? Come on, some of you have heard me talk before. You can guess. Vegetables? Fruits and vegetables. Super good guess, and those are really important. But the two main things I want you to walk away with this talk from are, you need relaxation above anything. So do your workout, do your job, take care of your family, but you have to rest. You have to rest for this to work. There's no way you're going to lose weight if you're wound up. It's impossible. And the second thing you need is fat. Seriously. So we're going to talk about biochemistry here. Eat your fruit and vegetables, yes, but eat them with some fat. Protein is a very close second. Carbohydrates, they're kind of lagging in the pack. They're still there, but you have to have fat for this to work. And here's why. When you eat fat, there is a hormone that goes from your gut up to your brain. It's called cholecystokinin, and it tells you you're full, you're satisfied. And so I was talking to my husband tonight, and he's like, so what are you going to tell these people that want to lose weight? You know, like, what are you going to say? And I was like, well, I'm going to tell them to eat fat. And he was like, oh my God. Seriously, who are you? But it works. Protein and fat, which is a huge part of your meal plan, it's built in to those booklets. It's built into what you need to do. That is what's going to keep the weight off. Has anyone heard this before? Does anybody does this idea feel familiar to you? So I passed out these little cards, butter does a body better. I believe that. Milk does a body, Butter does a body better. Relaxation and fat, those are the two things. So what kind of fats do you eat? That's a big one. So I go to the grocery store and I see this huge aisle. It's like from here, like all the way over to here. And it's all these different oils: sesame, cottonseed, grapeseed, avocado, canola, vegetable oil, corn oil, soy oil, you name it. What kind of fats do we pick? There's a lot to choose from. And at Costco, it's like the aisle's like way long. It's a big decision. The only two fats in that aisle that you can pick to eat and lose weight are coconut oil. If you have a pen, write this down. Coconut oil and olive oil. And of the two, which fat will make you lose weight faster? Coconut. In the refrigerated section, you can get butter. If you can get organic butter, I usually go to SPD and get it, even better. And if we want to go into the organic thing, I'm not a huge organic pusher on everything, but with your fats, it's important. The human body stores toxins in the fat. So if you're getting GMO grain in your butter, it's going to be stored in your body. And where's it going to be stored? The love handle. So those are the only two fats out of that section that I want you to eat, and focus on the coconut oil. Coconut oil and butter are short-chain fatty acids. It's been pretty big lately. Like, there's some different bloggers that have gotten this out there. There's some really good docs that have gotten this out there also. When you put those short-chain fatty acids into your body, specifically butyric acid, your metabolism goes nuts. Your thyroid turns on, your adrenals relax, everything works exactly how it should, and your body goes, oh, yes, and the fat falls away. So the relaxation part of it, how does that come into it? People do cleanses, they do programs, their adrenaline starts going, they get excited and everything's happening. Your body can't let go of anything if you're in a state of fight or flight. So you're in one of two states. You're in the state of chill, or you're in the state of sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. And it does exactly what it's called. You can either fight or run. You can't lose weight. You can't digest your food. You can't relax in that state. So whatever makes you happy, 5 minutes a day. I have one woman, she watches the Cooking Network. She loves it. But if I didn't tell her to do it, she would never do it. She would never do it. Some people like to listen to loud music in their car. Some people like to watch Downton Abbey in the bathtub. Whatever it is that you like, you have to do that at least a little bit today and go towards that. Every day, put that in a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Okay, so now we have you satisfied. When you eat broccoli, when you eat celery, when you eat carrots, what are you going to put on them? Fat, yes. So what would a great snack be? Remember when you were in kindergarten and you'd make those little ants on a log? The celery and the almond butter or peanut butter with the raisins on top? Excellent, excellent, excellent. We did a program together and I sent out a recipe for homemade jerky. It takes 10 minutes and you got it, and it's delicious. Totally delicious. So on my website, it's victorialafont.com. It's just my name.com. There are recipes for snacks, breakfast ideas, lunches, dinners. So you have a lot in your manuals to pick from. If you run out, or if you're just curious and you want to scroll around and look at different things, check that out. There's a lot on there. The reason I'm telling you to do that is because if we get that nutrient into your body, I'm not saying to go crazy and eat like sticks of butter like I do, but to eat a little bit with every meal. At the end of the meal, you're not going to be doing that thing that we've all experienced where you're like sitting in the family room watching TV, and then about like 15 minutes in, you're like hanging out back in the kitchen, and you like look in the refrigerator, and you're cruising in there looking for something to eat even though you just ate. That's what I'm trying to thwart, okay? Okay, so how are you gonna avoid the grainy goodies? That's what I call them, the grainy goodies. Grains, gluten, sometimes for some people dairy, like Joey was saying, if you know you have allergies to certain things to avoid them, it's hard to avoid in this world, right? Like we're in a hurry, we get up, stop by the bakery on our way to work, get the latte, get the croissant. It's hard on the blood sugar. So when we eat foods like that, or coffee, especially first thing in the morning without like some heavy cream in it, or with a lot of sugar in it, or a really sweet sugary breakfast, our blood sugar starts to go up. And in the manuals, I think it talks about the 3 p.m. blues. Somewhere in there I read that. It goes up, and then at 10 a.m., what happens? It starts to go down. And then we need something to get it up again, right? So during lunch, we like want a really bready sandwich, or we want like a chocolate bar, or another cup of coffee, and then, so it goes back up. And then at 3 p.m., we institutionalized it, the coffee break, because it goes down. So having really whole, savory breakfast in the morning. What was eggs and really good piece of sausage and some steamed greens with some butter, olive oil on top, avocado and salsa, and a good corn tortilla with some eggs, have an egg tia. That's the kind of food that you need to go towards. And your meal plans are set up for you to do that. And again, if you do need more recipes, they're available on my website. So what happens though if we don't stay away from those grains? If we're under a lot of stress? We live that way. Our guts sort of start to get compromised. I know everyone in this room has been in a situation where they're like, if I could just make it to the bathroom, or if I could just get away from this conversation or close the door so that I can get everything out and feel relieved. Everybody's had that situation, right? What is that? It's digestive distress. And that comes from, it's funny, yeah, it's hilarious, you know, it's like, let's be real, but it is real. We have that. We wouldn't have to deal with that, or even farther on digestive distress, if we did the good fats, good proteins, healthy carbs. Our gut starts to get a little upset. And what lives in our gut? Does anybody know what's in there? Bacteria. That's great. Who said that? Good. Yes. I just read a study today. It was the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, where they are starting to correlate huge lines between the bacteria, the types of bacteria that live in our gut, and obesity. Why are we here? It comes back to this question. So if that area gets compromised, our immune system gets compromised. Most of our immune system is right here. There's a little in the spleen, there's a little in the appendix, there's a little in the thymus, but most of it is in the gut tissue. It's in the lining of the gut. So what happens if we have digestive problems? If we can't lose weight, if we've done everything in the world to lose weight and we can't, something's wrong. Leaky gut is a really popular term nowadays. Have you guys heard leaky gut? It's like, I can't believe how all over the place it is. Moving your body, getting out, walking, exercising, eating foods that are healing, like broth. Who got a broth is hot card rather than a butter does a body better card? Great. That is the most healing food for the gut. So who here makes broth? Like any old chicken soup? Folks out here? Good. Excellent. There's a crock pot of lamb broth going at my house right now. Like I can't wait to get home and eat that. That food, good fermented vegetables, like real pickles. Bubby's is a great brand for that. There's a great brand, Sonoma Brinery, at some health food stores around. Those are what will heal the gut and keep you from getting leaky gut, which leads to allergies. You eat a certain food, you get a runny nose. A lot of people drink a beer, they get a runny nose. They're like, huh, what's going on? That's a sign of leaky gut. You get sick a lot in the winter. We've had a bad flu this year. Or you never get sick. You just always feel a little blech, leaky gut. So there's a lot of signs and symptoms of that. If you want to know more about that, I could talk to you about the digestive system all night long. Catch me after the talk. But having these whole foods, eggs, meat, veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds, good grains, that is what is going to keep our gut healthy and also our immune system healthy, because they're one and the same. There's no difference between the two. Does that make sense? Any questions? Yeah.
Question. I looked over the recipes for the breakfast offerings, and a lot of them say egg whites. If you're only going to have, an egg has 70 or 80 calories, what's wrong with having 2 or 3, fried eggs and a little bit of butter? Why do we have to separate the yolk, from the egg?
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of separating the two. Like if I had to pick one, I'd pick the yolk because it's where the most nutrients are. And there are some allergens present in the white. If you're really watching your calories, watch your calories. Eat the whole food. That's what I would say. I had a friend in Hawaii though, and he'd be like, okay, and he'd eat the shell. And there are some people who grind up eggshells for calcium. It's pretty extreme, but they do it. So I would say eat the whole food. Fry that egg in some coconut oil and go to town. But if you have to pick between 2 eggs and 4, pick 2, right? So I wouldn't separate those. Are there any other questions before I keep going? Yeah.
When you mentioned the coffee part.
Yeah, I know.
So I've heard that you're supposed to have a little something to eat before you have your coffee. And then you put the whole cream. Is that what you said? Okay. And then what if you really need some sugar? Like, would you prefer sugar or prefer something artificial or?
Can I ask you a question about your? Okay, you can say no. It's okay. Do you put whole cream in your coffee?
At Christmas time.
And Christmas time? And a little something else in the coffee. So my prediction would be, if you have a little something to eat before, like an egg fried in coconut oil, and you have your coffee with some whole cream, you're not going to crave something sweet.
Okay.
And there's a few reasons why. One is that hormone that goes up to the brain and says, hey, you're done, you're good. Every study, every single study, PubMed, American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, I don't care who you look at, they all say people who eat the right amount of fats and the right type of fats, they don't eat as much, the people and the rats, they don't eat as much, and they start to lose weight. So if you do that, you probably won't want that something sweet, because you're probably wanting that something sweet because we've all been sold on low fat. She said her house is, can I tell them this? Has been gluten-free for 13 years. And I said, well, you were gluten-free when I was eating Snackwells. Because I was eating a lot of Snackwells every single day. So having that low fat around, none of us really eat enough. And like I said, I'm not saying go nuts. Like eat good avocados and you don't have to put the whole stick of butter in there, but it cuts that craving. And most of us don't get enough. What else happens if we're eating the sugary, grainy treats? Our bacterial balance gets off. Does that make sense? There are little things living all over you, 10 times more of them than you, cellularly. There's 10 times more other than human in a human. Google it. You'll see an awesome TED Talk about it. That's kind of how it gained in popularity. There's an incredible TED Talk about it. So when we feed those little guys that are kind of just like, I don't want to like freak you out about them, but they're kind of just like ready to take over from the good guys. When we feed them sugar, when we feed them grains and really processed grains, they love it. And then they say, eat more sugar. They do. They want to be fed. So there's a few different reasons why it can happen that you're craving that sweet. Your blood sugar's crashed. You want to get your blood sugar back up. You're not getting enough proteins, which equals amino acids, into the brain. which keep you from craving sugar. There's an amazing teacher that I studied with, and she talked about her clients. She would have amazing, amazing clients, CEOs, super successful, great parents, dedicated in every part of their life. But when it would come to food, they didn't have the willpower to not eat the sugar, the grains, whatever. So she gave them amino acids, and all of a sudden they had the willpower to not eat that food. So it's not all just about like white knuckling your way through this. That's why I'm trying to give you some little hints of ways where you're like, hey, you know what? I don't need that chocolate croissant. Like, I'm okay. That's a win right there. And the way to do it is through rebalancing the gut flora, getting the protein to the brain, getting a little bit of fat so those hormones are released up to the brain, to the pituitary, and to the hypothalamus to tell you that you're satisfied and to not feed the little opportunistic baddies that want to take over. That's what this whole spiel is about. And the end goal is 1,000 pounds. That's the end goal. And finding why you're here. Because I do think that that's really important. Maybe it is just to lose weight, but it's not just. That's a huge thing for all of us, right? So that's a long answer to your question, but try it out. See what happens. If you do need something sweet, get some honey, mix it up with some peanut butter or some almond butter. Have a big spoonful of that.
Yeah, I was just talking about like what to put in the coffee.
I would put honey or maple syrup in the coffee. I would stay away from the aspartame. I would stay away from the artificial funky stuff. So think about it like this. I sometimes say to people, what would your great-great-grandmother do? And if she didn't have, my grandmother had the aspartame tablets. Do you guys remember those? You'd put one in and it was like the most delicious cup of coffee you'd ever had in your life. Because that neurotoxin was going to your brain and filling up a dopamine receptor to say, like, yeah, you know, it's a drug. So she had it. So let's go back. If your great-great-grandmother couldn't do it, then you don't do it either. And when you're at the store, think about that. It makes shopping a lot easier. Would my great-great-grandmother have access to even like, you know, stevia? Maybe not. Honey? Yeah. She had honey. Maple syrup? Yes, most definitely. Whole, like raw cane sugar? Yep, she had that. So, yeah. Any other questions? Are you afraid to ask questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I kind of got in the habit of having a concoction in the morning of lemon juice and apple cider vinegar and cayenne, and it's good. It really wakes you up, except I can't do it every day because it's a little overwhelming.
Sure.
But what's your opinion on that?
That sounds great. Yeah. So she has lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and cayenne in the morning.
Warm water. Yeah.
That'll get you going. That's fantastic. So those are all stimulants for the digestion. It gets your gastric juices really, really pumping. So when you do eat breakfast, you're really like processing it. That's fantastic. That's great. There's a huge debate in the nutrition world, people kind of barter back and forth about it, about lemon. It's acidic out here, but it's alkalizing once you eat it. I've done a little small research project with my clients and with myself to have them drink lemon water in the morning and then test their fluids to see if their pH, what it is on the pH scale. It's alkalizing. I'm here to tell you. Excellent. Alkalizing for the blood. Fantastic. So keep it up. That's great. And then if it's too much, just put a little lemon in your warm water. And
Actually, it kind of kicks your butt if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, it wakes you up.
I'm gonna try that.
I do 12 ounces, but it's like 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of. Yeah.
Of water?
It's too small. It's too much.
I tell people just a dollop. Just a little. And then if it's too much of a dollop, put a little less dollop the next day. Just play. That's great. So what can you do when you go to the grocery store? Here's one main thing. Try, if you can, to get different foods every time. Folks used to eat 180, 190, 200 different foods a year. Now, 15 to 20 different foods a year. Why do we have food allergies? There's a lot of different reasons why, but that's one. Have you ever heard the story, the woman eats tuna fish every day for lunch, tuna fish every day for lunch, tuna fish every day for lunch, and then one day she has an anaphylactic reaction, she swells up, and she has a reaction to the tuna. If you eat the same food over and over and over and over and over, unless you are like Iron Man stomach, you will develop a sensitivity to that. So when you go to the grocery store, try a parsnip. They're actually great. I didn't believe it. Try bok choy. Try fennel. Try something new and you go. And that list of foods that's in that manual is excellent. Just go through and highlight the ones like, weird, I never thought about eating that. And try it. Try it. This is an oldie but a goodie. Go around the perimeter. There's not too much good in the middle, unfortunately. So there are some beans, some grains in the middle that are great. But if you go around the perimeter of the grocery store, I take people to the grocery store a lot. You get your veggies, you get your meat, you get the butter section, that's what I call the dairy. You get your eggs, SPD, the beer is last. You get that every once in a while, and then you're home free. So go around the perimeter. It's a great idea. The other thing is find recipes that you love and write down the ingredients from those recipes and take that to the grocery store. It's super, super easy. I'm a little bit of a cookbook reader. I know not everybody is into cookbooks that much, but that's a really easy way to make a shopping list and then have just an easy trip in the grocery store. So those are 3 super simple things that you can do to start. The last thing I want to talk to you all about is probiotics. I'm not a big supplement person. None of these guys, it's like, yes, they're great. They're a supplement to what? Your diet, right? So that needs to be the primary, and if people need them to supplement. But probiotics is one thing that I will say is very, very important. All of the digestive problems, the leaky gut, the allergies, a lot of blood sugar problems, they can all be tied back to our bacterial balance being just a little bit off. And it's not just bacteria, it's all kinds of things. It's like a floral balance in our bodies everywhere. Sinus infections. If you have chronic yeast infections or chronic UTIs, there's something off with the bacteria/floral balance in your body. Guys, if you have athlete's foot, fungusy, toenail, guy stuff, something's off with the floral balance. So the one supplement that I would recommend is probiotics. Which probiotic do you take? Look for one that's just probiotic. It's just the bacteria and a gelatin cap. There's no maltodextrin, there's no magnesium stearate, there's no funky stuff in there. It's just the probiotic. That little supplement, I wouldn't even call it a supplement, it's like primordial food for the body, will do so much. It will do so much. So that is the one supplement that I would say to get. The only way that we can custom make a probiotic for you is if we know your symptoms exactly, and then there actually is a wonderful company that will customize exactly what strain that you need. Otherwise, there's great brands that I have in my office. I brought some tonight to show off. But think about the difference between how we eat now and how we ate great-great-great-grandmother time. There's no dirt on the carrots, right? They're sprayed every 15 minutes. We're definitely not pulling it out of the yard usually, although sometimes we are, and that's great. Not many fermented foods, and that used to be before canning, people would ferment. That's how they kept their food. They'd make sauerkraut, kvass, all kinds of fermented veggies, pickles, so sourdough breads. They fermented everything. So a lot of bacteria that we used to get in our diet, we're not getting now, and that's a great way to get it in. You have a question?
Calcium citrate and all the tons and tons of water we're supposed to be drinking. What do you think about that?
And you said calcium citrate?
Potassium.
Oh, potassium.
Citrate.
Potassium citrate is one derivation of potassium. It's not my favorite derivation. My favorite would be in avocados or bone broth. They're full of potassium. Bananas, they got marketed for potassium. All the banana people were like, how are we going to sell all these bananas? Oh, there's potassium in the banana. I'm serious. But there's also a lot of sugar in bananas. Not terrible for you. They're great. They're a great snack. Avocados, way higher in potassium, balances the blood sugar, and it's green and it's fat. Forget it. That's you can't get much better than that, So a type of potassium as far as a supplement goes, make broth.
Just for potassium citrate's good to bring up your pH, right?
It depends on who you are. And I hate to be vague about that, but for somebody who has enough potassium, it wouldn't be what they need. Drinking a whole lot of water. Actually, today, I had a client, and he came in, and he said, why are my hands like this? They were kind of like wrinkly. He looked dried out. And I took a huge intake and a history, and I was like, I don't know. And he said, the one thing I'm addicted to is water. That man had drunk himself dehydrated. How does that happen? He had drank so much water, the universal solvent, through his system, that he had washed out the minerals that are needed to keep that water in his cells. So you can get too much. Do most people get too much? Absolutely not. You need to drink at least a quart of water a day. But for a bigger person, a sturdy man, 2 quarts or 3 quarts. And right now it's dry. So the more water you can get in, the better. The best thing to put in your water is a little pinch of pink or gray sea salt. And they put that in there, Celtic salt. That is the best salt. So what is salt? It's a mineral. And that mineral will help your body absorb that water cellularly. They have all kinds of fancy things like mineral drops and, there's all kinds of things to add to your water. Just put a little pinch of sea salt in there. It's also super great for the adrenals, the little adrenals above the kidneys, the little glands that sit above the kidneys that produce adrenaline. It helps to relax them. So potassium is super important. Most people need potassium a lot. People with high blood pressure especially. Try to get it from your food. And if you want to talk about supplement types, I'm happy to talk with you after this. Yeah.
Is kombucha okay? If I brew my own kombucha?
That's great. So does everybody know what kombucha is? I actually brought some at a talk I did, and a few people tasted it, and some people were like, yes, oh my God, and some people were like, oh my God, I'm never gonna try that again. Kombucha is a SCOBY. It's like a colony of bacteria and yeast. It's an acronym for what that is. So it's these bacteria that eat up tea and sugar, and they excrete fermentation. Wonderful bacteria for your body. Really tonifying to the guts. It's great. So I wouldn't go crazy on it, but I think to have a cup a day, excellent. There's a great kombucha story. Researchers went to Russia. They went to these old babushkas' houses. These women were like hardy and old. And they were like, hey, take a little drink of this brew they had in the back, and it was kombucha. And they started to research it, and they found these amazing like anti-aging and long life properties. So it's fantastic. Any other questions, you all? All right. Oh, yeah.
So, this may be a myth or I don't know what it is, but they said sugar is sugar, whether it's from a Snickers bar.
Are you asking if you can have a Snickers for breakfast?
Does the body recognize the difference between a Snickers bar and like fruit?
Yes, there is a huge difference between a Snickers bar and, so let's just say sugar, because a Snickers has got partially hydrogenated soybean oil and high fructose corn syrup, which is like a Franken animal, and there's lots of stuff in a Snickers bar. But the body does know the difference between a full fruit, a whole fruit, and plain sugar. If you break it down biochemically, they are very similar, but one is the whole thing and one is a derivation of the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? Like cane is one of the most mineral-rich plants on planet Earth, but when you turn it into sugar, totally devoid of minerals and nutrients. So it's kind of the same. Same with juice. I love juicing. Juice apples, juice carrots, and like that. Having that whole food, a little bit better. And so your body does know the difference. Absolutely. The way to keep your body from reacting so dramatically to the fructose in the fruit, the sugars in the fruit, is to put it with a little fat. Totally. Not a lot, not a crazy amount, but or the yogurt that you're going to put in. It's fermented, and if it's good full fat yogurt, which it should be, good full fat yogurt, good. That's perfect. And that recipe, those recipes are in there. So that's perfect. Coconut oil, yes, or that coconut, the manna, the like coconut butter. Oh my goodness, in smoothies, it's just like outrageous. Totally outrageous. The other amazing thing about coconut oil is that it beats back the batty bacteria in the digestive system. It's fantastic. So the candida, like everybody I see, do I have candida? I'm like, I don't know, we have to run a poop test to know if you have candida. But here's a great way to not get it is to lay out the sugar and eat coconut oil. It's fantastic. Any other questions, you all? Yeah?
Dried fruit.
Dried fruit is pretty hard on the glycemic index in the body. You know, if you're gonna pick a Snickers or some raisins, eat some raisins. It's quick, but what do we eat that's got the fruit in it and then the nuts? You know, trail mix, awesome. They like just put it all together right there for you. Slices of coconut and nuts with that dried fruit, easier on the body. Yeah, way easier on the body. I dip my nuts in butter. Seriously, it is delicious. It is totally delicious. What'd you say? Yeah, see?
Where does the calorie piece fit in?
Okay, so she's asking where the calorie piece fits in. These guys are the experts on that. I was taught in school how to like do all the calorie, you know, addition and subtraction, going through it. I don't do that with people. I will do that with people if they want me to do that, but I don't look at food as calories, I look at it as nutrients. And at one point, just for fun, I used a Fitbit. It was after we did a program together just to see like how many calories I ate in a day. Does anybody want to guess? A low day. It was a lot more than you're gonna eat on this program. So I don't look at calories in that way, but for this and in order to lose weight and it's an experiment. You know what I mean? It's like, it's an experiment, this whole deal. We want you to lose weight. Play around, see what happens. Don't go under 1,200 calories a day. What happens if you cut your body so far down on calories that it thinks it's starving? It thinks it's 1,000 years ago and there's a famine on and you're gonna die. That's how our brain is still wired. We're not too much different than we were 100,000 years ago. So it'd be like if your house was flooding and you had a boat to put only so many things in, you would shove that boat full. You know what I mean? It is a disaster for the body and it's gonna hang on to everything. And the thyroid gland, the little pilot light of your body, it starts to go out. It starts to get hurt. And women especially, pay attention to this if you don't pay attention to anything else. We need that thyroid working spot on. So don't lower your calories below that. And look at your food as nutrients. If you're eating whole foods, pack those calories in with that instead of Snickers bar. Yeah.
So if you're eating whole foods, like she said, you can consume a lot much more food and you'll be full and you're giving your body the right things. But if you eat processed foods and if that's what your typical nutrition looks like, if you eat, I think it's 2.5 to 3 pounds of processed foods, like 10,000 calories. 2.5 to 3 pounds of whole foods is like 2,500 to 3,000 calories. So you can not eat that much and be consuming way too many calories and never give your body what it wants. Or you can eat a ton of food and give yourself way less calories. You're gonna be eating nutrient-dense, low-caloric food. And so that's, you know, in the manual, there's food portion sizes for female and male. If you're starving, you have to eat. You have to eat something. If it's too low, like she said, you have to make some adjustments. But unless you're tracking your food and you are eating processed, you could be consuming 6,000 calories and not even know it.
That's true.
And if you are consuming 6,000 calories day after day, chances are your energy expenditure is not even close to that. And each year you might be finding yourself putting on 5-10 pounds when you want to just balance that weight or get to a healthier weight. So you have to keep that in mind.
Keeping a food journal is a fantastic idea. People have no idea. I'm sorry to tell you, you have no idea what you eat. I have clients every day and they're like, this was a really bad week. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Just do it next week. That's fine. And they come back and they're like, this was a really bad week. And I'm like, do you think maybe every week is a really bad week? We just don't know. I don't know either. When I start to write my food down, I'm like, whoa, it's a little too much. So think about it. We're humans. Our brain is still pretty old. It's still wired the same. We're 99% the same as we were when we stood up on 2 legs. Back then, if you had food, you ate it. There was no question. And now we have food all the time. So getting the right food in is the key. Does anybody have any questions? I won't tell you how many calories I ate. It'll scare the hell out of you. If you have any questions that you want to ask me after, I'm over here. If you want to check out the probiotics I have, I love them. If you suffer from constipation, they're the best of the best. Yeah?
So you're saying you gotta drink coffee.
I love every time.
I should put whole grain and honey is okay, but I should eat something before I drink.
Eat something with your coffee. Don't just drink coffee. Your blood sugar hates it. Yeah. A hard-boiled egg is excellent. Thank you all very much. Good luck.